welcome. We have week two in the B.E.N.T Entertainment League for Madden 26, week two. This is just some catching up on the news. We had the Rams trading away Puna Ford for a couple of picks. The Texans and the Titans exchanging quarterbacks. The Eagles and the Steelers. Eagles getting rid of Bucky Irvin, which was kind of surprising for most people. Eagles beefing up that offense line a bit more. If you didn't see it, we had our week two preview, our game of the week, the Jets versus the Colts, and a few injuries here at the bottom. Quinnen Williams still out. Big piece for the Jets defense. Ross and Garden still out. Big piece for the offensive line of the Ravens. Saints, Alvin Kamara, enough said for him. Workhorse running back. Kenny Clark out for Dallas, didn't really affect him that much this week. Pretty much did really well stopping the run for the Giants this week. Week two review. So starting off, we have the Broncos storming back. I think they're 1-1 now. Bo Jackson had a really good game. Lamar Jackson still struggling a bit in Baltimore. Jaguars pulled out at 42-21. This game was a little bit close, but Jags kind of pulled away. A lot behind the QB runner Mateer. Also a few deep balls in there. Bengals were blitzing a lot, but Jaguars adapted and ended up taking the win 42. Eagles, Richardson shining, had 3 TDs this game. 35 from Eagles. Blowing out last week. Seattle blew out their opponent last week. Thought a bit more fight for them this week. Unfortunately, the Eagles and their draft picks just became a bit too much. Falcons winning in a pretty close one. Defense shut out in the fourth quarter. Um, That's about it for that game. And then we have 41-32 on the Raiders. Raiders a lot this game. Had a lot of Wildcat. Ashton Genty had the 70-yard bomb. That'll probably be play of the week here. Patriots thought they could come back. Well, Patriots attempted to come back in the fourth. Didn't really work out. Didn't get that onside kick. Ended up losing. Commanders and Texans. Texans got a new coach recently this week. Um, Tough game for them here early, though. A couple of picks early put Commanders in good field position to run the ball and get the dub finished. Dolphins pretty much blew out the Chargers 11-37. Defense still strong in that game. The Cowboys Giants game, probably the best game of the week in my opinion. Jackson Dart did have a lot of struggles with their interceptions. The Cowboys usually came out a lot in the quarters coverage. The quarters coverage seemed to give a lot of problems in the passing game of the Giants user, throwing into a lot of double coverage, which led to some picks. After the game, Giants head coach said he said we suck, but he said this is not up to their standard. They made it to the Super Bowl last season. They ended up losing to the Jags, but he said look for them to come back. Giants do have a tough schedule. They have the Buccaneers this week, and then next week they have a Super Bowl rematch against the Jaguars. And then we have a Bucks dominating win. Love continues to tote the rock. I believe he's leading the league in rushing still. He had 134 this game. The Browns and the Titans came down to the last seconds. Browns ended up scoring a TD, and then they said, you know what, we don't want to go to overtime. We're going to go for it. They end up getting the 2-point conversion with about 3 seconds left in the fourth quarter and ended up taking that win. Packers, Panthers. Packers sneak pass with a sneaky win in overtime. The teams traded field goals. Packers ended up getting the ball back on the second possession in overtime, and then they took it home. Lions in dominating fashion at home shut out the Saints and their offense. Hopefully the Saints user can get back on track. He had struggled a little bit last season, but hopefully the draft can help him out for the rest of the season. Moving on to our later slate of games, we had 30-35. Bears maintain the late lead, taking it big. Caleb Williams and the boys getting their win of the season, first win of the season. Then we have the Niners and the Chiefs in a big game. Niners, however, do pull out 3-point from, I believe, Butker's their kicker. If I'm not mistaken, unless they got rid of him. No, sorry, wrong kicker. But anyway, they got the 3 to win. Jets and Colts. Allard didn't play this game, which was kind of surprising. I believe they had the backup quarterback. I can't really get his name right now. But Jets defense dominated. They played really good. Like to see more out of them coming from the future. Cardinals end up taking the win against the Rams. Lenore Sillers gets his first win as a quarterback in the NFL, and he has 5 TDs to add to that. So in the first game, we have the Raiders. It's a pretty early blowout coming from the Raiders in this game. They had a lot of B.E.N.T playing the quarterback for this game. The Raiders user coming out in a lot of the wildcat formations for them. Patriots attempted their best, but it was pretty much a drought. A drought early for the Patriots in the first 3 quarters, in which the Raiders would go on to dominate. Patriots how did excuse me. Patriots did, however, attempt to bring back the game a little bit there early. I mean, late, in the fourth quarter, but they just couldn't get it done. This is good though for the Patriots user. The Raiders user did have a lot of success, but also, you don't want to give up the potential to even come back that the Patriots were given at the end of the game. Moving on, we have the Eagles versus the Seahawks. This was a pretty blowout. I think with 35-14 Eagles. Here we have a goal line stop by the Seattle defense, though. You have Milrow dropping back, throws this pick here. Lucky it wasn't a pick six, but I still believe that the Eagles user managed to score after this drive. I'm pretty sure I have it in the next clip. Just a struggle week from the Seahawks after blowing out from the last week. Got Milrow dropping back, a little. And we have the Cardinals here. Dominating performance from Sellers, 5 touchdowns to the 1 pick, which we had discussed earlier. We got a Rams touchdown, Blake Corum rolling out to the right. Big run here. Trey Benson is a lot of the workhorse that I've seen from the Rams user. The Cardinals user. Cardinals user loves to run a lot with Trey Benson. We love to see it. And finally here, I think we have a little crossing route from Higgins, followed up by, I believe, which is RPO. We get a little RPO scheme to Harrison here just to seal the deal for the Cardinals. We got the Titans-Browns game as we discussed. Very close game. Back and forth here in the fourth quarter. However, Browns would come back, like we discussed. Get that much-needed touchdown, 4 seconds left on the clock, and after this play, they would go on to go for 2 and secure the game. Game of the week here. Wasn't the game of the week on paper. That was the Colts Jets, but game of the week no less was the Cowboys and the Giants. Giants user struggled a lot as we went over the 3 touchdowns. Good juke by Turpin there, though. Both teams start out 1-1. A lot of running from the Giants user. This is what they found their most success. A lot of inside zones, a lot of streaks, and we got a deep ball here. Milrow's been really good, better than expected. They benched Dak Prescott, so you would expect Milrow to do the same or do better than Dak, and he stayed on pace. And we also have Blue. Blue was a really surprising to me. I think he had over 100 yards rushing. I think he had about 2-3 touchdowns. A lot of domination. But here we have what the Giants were most successful at, which was the run game. But, once you get behind, you have to pass the ball. Jackson Dart just couldn't pass the ball against this Cowboys defense today efficiently. Milrow also struggled a bit, though, as we have, Milrow got to be better. That linebacker dropping back is ready to just throw the ball away there from Milrow. But I'm sure the Cowboys user will work on that. But we got to cross the middle here. A little no huddle here action from the Cowboys user, which will end in a touchdown, I believe. Another run in here by Blue. Yeah, Cowboys have him, I think, for 2 more years on his rookie contract, so this guy's going to be really good for them. He's already a superstar. Maybe he'll be X Factor into the season. Once again, triple coverage thrown into. Quarters coverage gave a lot of trouble to the Giants user. Surely he'll look back at this and see what he could have done better. but no less a pick six for Tony Adams and the Cowboys. And we go back to Old Faithful here, Saquon on another stretch play. This would be the last touchdown of the game for either team. It's just field goals from here. And then, of course, we have the 4th and 6 stop from the Dallas defense. You know, Jackson Dart rolls out to the right, tries to get it here to the solo receiver, but the safety comes over, swipes it away, and that's game. And moving on to this Texans-Commanders game, a little surprising. Jeezy Knows, former user of the Jets. A lot of picks I didn't really expect, but, you know, new team comes with growing pains. But once again, we have the Commanders user, another user who dominates with the run game. I think he had 100 yards rushing last week. He has 100 yards rushing this week. Also, excellent defense running the zone scheme. Kept the Texans user on his feet. Texans will drop to 0-2 while Washington surges to 2-0. Washington does become the number 1 seed in the NFC East this week. You know, it's a very most competitive division in the NFC, as most people would say in this league. Another pick here by the Texans user. Got a lot of motion schemes. However, it ends in throwing a double coverage, trying to get that score before halftime. Couldn't get it though. But you know, Washington, he makes it up. Beautiful run from him. And we have 2 quick touchdowns here by the Lions. We got a stretch to Gibbs here. You know, that's a fast man. You know, Gibson. You know, sorry, Jahmyr Gibbs might get that X factor after this season. Then we got C.J. Stroud saying all his receivers covered, but you know he got them legs on him. Gets in there to the end zone. Moving on next, we have the Jags Bengals game. Bengals user sent a lot of blitzes. However, the Jags user adapted. We got Bengals running up here for the middle. This was a very back and forth game for the first half. Trading scores from each team. And we have Whips route, Brian Thomas, and then we have the good old QB sneak coming in here for Mateer. Mateer has 6 touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 on the ground this game. That's what you love to see, especially coming out of a rookie. And we got Joe Burrow here bombing on Bennett. Bennett on Chase. You know who wins that matchup. Jamar Chase every time. Can't cover that man one-on-one. But also we have what the Jags have been most successful with this season, which is this QB power. Material about 90 speed. You know, he runs a 4 something. And we have a little, the Material struggled a little bit today, 2 picks in this game. We have back to this QB power, you know. Bengals user, you know, a lot of bunched up on the line, so outside runs are really good against formation with the Jags user recognized. And then we have a simple slant go route from Jamar Chase. You know, he had the double me on him, hard to cover him in that situation. I believe this is the second pick, you know, generated by that pressure. I was throwing in the triple coverage anyway, but good pressure generated by the Bengals user. However, the Bengals user would not score for the rest of this game as he throws in a double coverage here. Jacorian Bennett makes up for his earlier miss onto Jamar Chase, gets that pick. And then the Jaguars would go down to score on this drive. A simple in route from Lemon, another star rookie for the Jaguars. And then we have the play of the week, Ashton Genty. I know we saw it earlier. We got fake on the Wildcat and Njoku wide open bomb. Outspeeds both the linebacker and the safety. Njoku for 6, and I'm sure the Raiders organization had that playing up on the screen all week. Yeah, but you know, thank you guys for watching. This week we do have the Giants at Tampa Bay. That's a battle. You know, Tampa Bay hot, 3 rookies, but Giants Super Bowl favorites. They aren't going down easy. We know we get the video posted for the week 3 whenever that happens. Hopefully I can catch it live. But once again, thank you guys for watching. See you on the next one.